But basically, like what are you doing already? Is he like the next?
Better than average kids.
But this is what I look at. So like first, maybe not. Make sure we're working. Like really. Yeah. Okay, 6 o'clock.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody who's doing all board members are present? Item C, approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Moved in second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, at the same time. Motion passed 7-0. Comments from the superintendent?
None.
I have no comments. F, consent agenda.
You have one personnel item in there. But just as a person. Yeah.
Jordan C. Jordan retired at the.
Retired. December.
Yeah.
December 20.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved in second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passed 7-0. Comments from the public?
We do not have any.
Item H, fiscal audit update.
Okay, Levi or Barney and Associates joining.
Yeah, Jessica, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Hi.
All right, so my name is Jessica Lindsley, and I was the lead auditor on the district's financial statement audit this year. And so Levi asked that I just come in and give a quick presentation on the results of the audit for the 6/30/24 year. And I just want to thank Levi for all his help. The audit went really smoothly this year, and I think we're done in record time. And so we had just a really smooth time, and so I appreciate all his help in providing everything that we needed. So we did most of the work in our office, and then we came out for a day to finish up what we needed to at the district. As part of the audit, there is a 3-page governance letter that we usually like to start out with. This letter is to you, the board, to just discuss the results of the audit during the year. The first part, we just always like to remind you that these financial statements are your management's financial statements. They're responsible for providing us the financial information, and we simply do audit procedures to ensure that they are materially stated in all material respects. See. On the second page of the letter, uncorrected and corrected misstatements, this is where we would provide, if there were any audit adjustments that we needed to make, we would provide them here for you to see. However, there were no misstatements that we needed to make this year. So what that means is the balances that you see in the financial statement are the ones that were provided by your business office. And then I did want to point out, so on the last page, we did have one recommendation. This is not a finding or anything that is wrong, but just as we go through the audit, we talk internal controls and processes within the business office. And so if we see anything that we think could just improve those controls and make them stronger, we would recommend that in this section. And part of that this year is we would recommend that there is supporting documentation for journal entries and that those are maintained. So any adjustments that are made in your accounting system, they just need to be, there needs to be support to show like why the entry was made. Not that we found anything or that there's anything wrong, but just to strengthen those internal controls. And then we also recommended that the superintendent can periodically review those just to get a second set of eyes on those entries. All right, and then I won't go through the whole thing, but just to quickly kind of go through the actual audit report, and then you can stop me at any time if you have any additional questions. It was a clean opinion. Like I said, we had no audit adjustments or anything, any findings. And so on page 1, we give our opinion that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with the KMAG model, which is accepted in the state of Kansas. On page 4 of the audit report, this is your actual financial statement. It lists all of your funds out on the left-hand side and will show the beginning cash balances, your total cash and receipts by fund, and then your ending balances by fund. And then on the next page, it shows a reconciliation at the bottom with your bank accounts and how those relate to the total cash by fund. Just looking across, there weren't a lot of changes this year. Your cash, unencumbered cash did go up a little bit due to the ESSER. That was the reimbursements that were received. And most of that should be, it's pretty close to being done by the end of June for those ESSER funds. Other than that, most of it was pretty consistent year to year. And following your financial statement are your notes to the financial statement. These are pretty standard. We didn't have any additional notes that we didn't have in the prior year. I do usually like to point out page 11. This shows your long-term debt and any future payments you have on those. So you did pay off one of your bonds during the 24 year, and then you have 5 years left on that 2021 bond. And then on page 13, there is note 10, stewardship, compliance, and accountability. This note just discusses that there are some federal funds that are negative at year end, but those are not a statutory violation due to getting reimbursements for those grant funds. So just to point that out there. And then following that on schedule 1, page 15, this is the budget to actual page, and so it shows all your budgeted funds and then the amount of the certified budget, and then there's adjustments for legal max and budget credits for the general fund. And then you can see on the right hand side that there were no budget violations for the year. Following that are schedule 2. This goes into more detail by fund and will show the line items that relate to your statement back at the beginning. And I won't go through all of those unless there's a specific question. And then you do have a schedule for your agency funds and activity funds back on page 34 and 35. And we do those by school site. Following that, we did have to do a single audit again this year because you expended over $750,000 in federal expenditures, and we were able to just test ESSER this year. And so you'll see at the back of the report on page 41, this is the result of the federal audit. We had a clean opinion. There were no findings, material weaknesses, or significant deficiencies over the ESSER program. And that should be it. And kind of looking forward, I probably discussed this with Levi, but they did raise that threshold for the single audit to $1 million. And so I would suspect you might not need it in the next few years with the ESSER going away. And so that will be a piece that we wouldn't have to do, but just depending on what you expend in federal. Does anyone have any questions or want me to go into anything further?
Can you discuss the adverse opinion portion at the beginning?
Sure.
There's it references this note 1, and it looks like it's something that we approve a waiver so that we don't have to use these standard accounting practices. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Because you report under the KMAG model, you do a gap waiver every year. So we have to give an adverse opinion on generally accepted accounting principles, which is gap principles, because you choose to report under the Kansas Municipal Audit and Accounting Guide. And so we first have to give an opinion on gap, but then below we say, well, the reason there's an adverse opinion is because you report on this statutory basis.
Okay. So it's not necessarily a negative, it's just the way the reporting goes, you have to point that out.
Yes, absolutely. It's a requirement because all in US, any US entity is supposed to give an opinion on GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. And so we just have to say, well, it's adverse based on that. However, there is an exception because you're using KMAG and you do a waiver for that. And then we give a clean opinion on KMAG.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Okay, and just to remind you, we are available to you, the board, as well throughout the year if you ever have any questions or issues or would like to discuss anything with us. So feel free to reach out at any time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any action to accept the audit or anything
No.
like that?
Next, we're going to talk school improvement accreditation for just a few minutes here, but I don't like that. Let me back out of this. Go ahead and get in here. Yeah. Pretty good. All right, so, Lauren, I want to give you, I think Laura's back, yeah, a brief update on, KISA. You hear the term KISA, that's the Kansas Educational Systems Accreditation. Yeah, that's what KISA stands for. The cycle has, I don't know what that. So, anyway, the cycle it's changed a lot. It used to be a 5-year cycle. There's a lot of changes. There's changes in what the requirements are for accreditation. So we want to kind of go through that with you a little bit as well. So, just kind of give you a little background here. This is really what's really different. It's no longer 5 years. And you've got 3 areas you have to adhere to. Compliance, that's nothing new. That's all regulatory stuff. You'll see a slide that has some examples of that here in just a moment. School improvement, you'll see a slide about that, a couple of slides that refer to that. And it's really using measurements to evaluate the performance of the system. And then the outcomes, that is really the new part of this. The old KISA 1.0 did not really evaluate based on outcomes. Say, for example, state assessments or beeping from an overhead projector, whatever. So it's very different. So we want to kind of point that out to you and give you an update on what we've been doing. So Laura, you want to take the next slide there if you'd like.
Sure. So Lonnie mentioned those 3 areas that we will be, that are part of the KISA 2.0. This takes that and breaks it down further. So you can see the 14 areas of compliance that we have to meet. The 4 areas of, or 4 fundamentals is what they're calling that, of school improvement. And then those are the 3 outcomes that we will be measured on that will begin in 26 and 27. So that's one of the biggest pieces. It's the post-secondary effectiveness, 5-year average rate, our graduation rate, and our math and ELA state assessments.
These are things you already see if you look at the building report card or the district report card. If you go to that site, you'll see those anyway. So those are posted on the website as well. Okay, so the old system they used a really completed work in these, I think it was 3 R's, right? Was it 3 R's?
4.
4 R's, okay. Now we have 4 fundamentals. The difference is you're not working in all those R's anymore, you're working in one fundamental. In our case, we're looking at quality instruction as really being the first fundamental that we're going to work towards. So within each of those fundamentals, you have structure. So how do you use your resources? How do you train your teachers and work with your staff? What does collaboration look like? Do they have time to work on these things together as professionals? Does your district have that tiered system of supports? Does our district have that? I know some of you know what that is. We call it MTSS. So, and then the family, community, and business partnerships has always been part of the accreditation process as well. Okay, so, Laura, you think anything else we need on this slide?
No.
I think we're moving on. Okay, the timeline. We got a couple of slides about the timeline. I'm gonna let you look at that, and then we'll kind of do another slide showing you where we are in that time. A bit more specific thing. We are in year 1 now. If you look at the outcomes, there's a little bit more work as you get towards year 3. This is again a yearly thing. You're looked at yearly. You're either accredited or what's the other term that's been used instead of accredited? With the exception,
Conditionally
conditionally. Okay.
or not.
All right. So outcomes aren't going to be evaluated till the year 26, 27, okay, and there's reasons why. One thing is we have no assessments coming our way. So you really need to wait to get those underway anyway. But here's how it looks in our district here. This is the flow chart of what we've done this year. In flow, we put together our leadership team. We use people from the building leadership team. We'll have names for you in the next slide. Or in a future slide. BLT is a district leadership team. That's your BLTs from the district or from the schools and your administrative team as well. We had the regional executive check-in already. Somebody from KSD was here in October.
November,
Was it November? Okay.
November 12th.
Oh, 11, 12 is November 12, there you go. DLT participates in School Improvement Day. We did that last week. So we came back from Thanksgiving and we went that first Monday, we were in Greenbush all day working with other schools. Collaborating with other schools and personnel in similar positions in those other schools. This is where we are right now. We're engaging the school community. You're part of that, so you're getting engaged by that at this point in time. So we're telling you about the process, telling you what's going to be involved in that process. We'll ask for your approval in January on an action plan. Right now, so we're working with site councils and with stakeholder groups, just showing them what the process is going to look like, getting any feedback from them. We have engaged with the school community in putting together, answering a bunch of questions related to how those structures look, those fundamentals, how they look in our district right now. Yeah, we've already done that part of it. Those are called essential questions. We completed that some time ago. Then you can see due February 1, we have to submit an action plan. And then later in the spring, begin working on that action plan. They say it takes about 2 weeks for KSDE to respond. I don't think it'll take really that long, but we're going to show you the next part of this. So Laura, I'll let you take over here.
This is the team we assembled to do this work. So we had representation from each building, both by building leadership and one teacher per building. That teacher also sits on that building leadership team. And we also had special ed represented with Becky Schamberg. So we have met, in person, we've emailed a lot. They have went out and gathered feedback for us. And all the people listed on that screen attended the school improvement day in Lawrence last week.
Okay, you can see here the district leadership team. We did review data. These are those focusing questions. So these two pieces is really what we looked at to determine our next steps and what our action plan should look like. How we ended up coming with the or achieving that fundamental. We'll look at lead indicators here in just a minute. We've had the visit from the executive. We've attended the school improvement day. We're working on this right now, action planning with stakeholder input. And in January, we're going to come to you with that and ask for your approval to move forward and submit that to the state. Laura, I'll let you kind of talk about the model in a little bit deeper detail here.
So this is the same slide you saw earlier, with the addition of, our own information. So we have chosen, quality instruction as the fundamental we would like to focus on this first year. The structures, how we're going to do that, are professional learning and professional collaboration. And then our lead indicators, that we would like to put in our action plan, revolve around professional development and mentoring plans that have the fidelity with the alignment of classroom practices to HIPS, which is high impact instructional practices and strategies, and also high quality instructional materials. And then from that, we anticipate professional collaboration and conversations happening as a result of our HIPS implementation and our HIPS walkthrough. And then also among our content teams.
We had that back on implementation day, on HIPS implementation day. When was that again?
November
It was right-
1st.
Yeah, right after Halloween, right,
Yes.
right after Halloween. So we actually had implementation day, so that was professional collaboration. It wasn't a set and get like it has been a few other times with direct instruction from the presenter.
And they were in their grade level or content teams that day.
So, questions or comments? Again, I want to tell you that in January, we'll come to you with our action plan. We have a skeleton put together already. We're just getting feedback. We'll have that for you to take a look at. We'll ask you to approve that and submit it to the state. Actually, what we've done thus far is already kind of went through one screener with our executive who happened to be at the state improvement day. She was kind enough to take a look at our plans and we didn't have any revisions that she felt needed to be made. We just needed to go get the input now and see if it met with what the stakeholders thought was appropriate. So just want to give you a little bit of an update. Hopefully, you heard, I'm glad you said HIPS, otherwise we're going to have to jump in and say something about that because you hear us talking about HIPS a lot. This is where it factors into the school improvement processes. So, questions, comments? You have the presentation in your files there. Can you take a look at? Oh, you don't? I'll put it there. I'll give it to you. Sorry. Anyway, so just keep in mind that's first fundamental that we're working on right now, and after that we'll probably move right on to curricular alignment across the district. And a lot of this work we're already started. So we're probably getting a little bit of a head start on it, but we're not going to move too fast with it, one thing at a time. Okay. Thank you, Laura.
HESC updates. Lori?
Turn around.
Thanks for having us. My name is Ryan Minder. I'm president of Hiawatha Baseball Softball Club. I have Troy Cole and Keith Early, board members with us. We're here to represent the board and talk about the renewal of the 2-year lease with the Robinson Center. Hard to believe it's already been 2 years. We appreciate your support the last 2 years. I think you guys have felt and heard the same thing, the feedback from kids and coaches and stuff like that. It's been resounding excitement and benefit for the kids and the schools and the teams and the communities. So we're here to talk about the lease. So the 2-year lease we had was $13,000 a year, which we invoiced it annually to make it easier. You paid it monthly. That amount is the same exact. We're proposing the same amount moving forward as what we've had the last 2 years. Not only that, We just recently launched the opportunity for kids that are on the high school baseball and softball team to use it extra outside of team practices for free through an approval with their coach, with certain expectations set, and we trust them until we can't. So it would get even more use. You should have the use Troy sent the usage, so it gives you an idea that you're paying based on the hours that the teams get it, roughly 65% less than what you would pay as a regular community member. That covers our expenses, our monthly expenses for the Robinson Center, not depreciation or maintenance or anything like that. But it's your guys' way of supporting us, which we appreciate, and we'd like to officially ask to renew the lease through 2025 and 2026.
The new lease versus the old lease, you've got both of them there.
Mhm.
Is there anything changed except the dates?
No,
Same thing.
Troy, I saw you going into City Hall earlier. What was the outcome of that?
we asked for 4 things. 1 is approval of the ball field, so we can move forward. 2 is a letter of support, so we can apply for some grants and have the city involved. We asked for water, electricity, and waive building fee permits, and also use of the city personnel for installing utilities and so forth where it was appropriate. They gave us all but the water and electric, and that would require a change in the lease, so we held off on that, but they are supportive of us moving forward on the softball field. We got the plans done with Architect One, and we are hitting major fundraising strides. Ryan didn't mention it, but another 2 years, if you guys helping us cover the fees, our utilities at Robinson Center, gives us 2 more years to focus on fundraising for the softball field, and the building is so to speak, self-supporting at that point. So you guys may not see how important it really is. I mean, it's supporting the students, it's supporting the community, but it also helps us move forward as a board to fundraise and really focus on getting the softball field. Our timeline on the softball field is move dirt, hopefully January, if weather permits. Completed the construction around October of 25 and play ball March 26.
Wow.
So, and it's primarily geared priority towards the high school softball programs, with the youth softball programs having access to it beyond that. So, and we've got some renderings that we can share at some point, so. And I know 2 years ago, you guys were hesitant to sign a longer lease in 2 years because the board member turns over and so forth. So this last 2 years have gone really smooth. That's helped us get where we're at. Another 2 years helps us get that much farther down the road. And hopefully you guys are on board and have heard and seen the opportunities and improvements and benefits to the community and the students and the athletes.
Just kind of echoing what Ryan said earlier, after talking with some coaches and players, and everybody seems to really enjoy it. Obviously, we get quite a bit of use out of it. I think it's a good thing for both parties. Yeah. I move to approve the lease for the Robinson Center as presented.
I'll second that.
Moved in second to approve the lease for Robinson Center. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Very much.
You guys.
Lonnie, can we sign that later this week, maybe?
Yeah, anytime, just give me a holler.
All right. Oh, it'll be Ryan, not me, but.
We can sign it now. You want to sign it?
If you don't bring it here, I'll be like.
Get a minute.
You got me spelled, yeah, you got.
County.
Yeah, I'll text it. Okay. I guess you send me a copy when you get it.
Thanks.
SB updates.
Okay, you've got some files in your docs there as well. So twice a year you get these. They come in June and they come in December. Okay. For the most part, most of them are due to changes in statutes, regulations, or providing some needed clarity. Most of these are this way. You will not act on any of these tonight. In January, I would ask if you would to approve those. If you look through those, one of them, well, there's two of them that are new. One of them regards fundraising, and this is apparently something school districts across state have asked for some guidance on. We really don't have a policy per se that is similar to this. I want to look at it a little bit more. I want to get some feedback from our leadership team and just kind of see how that's going to impact things that happen currently in their district. Keep in mind things like that, PPO is doing a fundraiser, that's not a school fundraiser. The Booster Club's doing a fundraiser, that's not a school fundraiser. But if, let's say the softball, well, no, prom is an after-school thing also.
Prom's
Just-
not one
it's-
either.
right. So, but, softball team or football team, yes, absolutely.
Isn't that an after-school thing though?
Okay, no, that is not a school. Prom is actually that fundraiser. Help me out. Where are you, Lori? I know there's an after, no, that's after prom is not. Yes, you're right. Prom is.
Prom, I thought
After
about prom, but
Yes,
not
after prom is
yeah.
not, but prom is.
Mhm.
So, sorry. So there's booster clubs and affiliated groups that really wouldn't be under this, but we do have several things that could be impacted by this. So I want to get a little bit of feedback before I make a recommendation on that one. The other new one has to do with, stock supply of emergency medication, EpiPens and albuterol inhalers specifically. I will tell you that our nursing staff is working on that right now, so it's gonna just line up perfectly. They are aware of what the policies are going to say. Probably I will recommend that you approve that in January. The rest of those I'd recommend approval simply because they're just clarity, or they're just necessary because of new statutory regulations.
Am I missing it, or do we just have the synopsis of each and then not the policy itself?
Yeah, so I can send you the actual policy, but you can get it through KASB Plus.
Okay.
Is where those are going to be. This is just a synopsis, yes. If you'd like it, if you want any of it.
It seems like normally there's this guide and then there is the
There's a
actual.
link, usually there's a link, and these did not have.
Right.
links. I know what you're saying. Yeah, you can actually click on it, yeah. Do you notice that difference too, Levi? I'm not sure why that is, but yeah, I didn't think about it until you just mentioned that. But yeah,
So,
they usually- I just had to go to KSB Plus and look at it, but maybe. If you don't have access to that, I can get that for you though. Anything you want on that, just let me know.
Does anybody have easy access to KASB Plus? Or would know where to go to get that?
No,
get-
but I got.
Should I
my
just
friend
I'll
ask
Bob.
find
it?
that,
Yeah, okay.
I'll find that out and get it to you. Are there any specific ones you want? If so, I'll just try to get you a link. Actually, I'll try to have Levi get you a link.
I thought you wanted to be an active grade.
The fundraising?
Mhm.
You want all of them? Some of them are just clarifying language.
I mean, I don't want to create that undue work, but I think it's due diligence that we have access to all of those policies.
We'll get that taken care of.
Okay.
Do we either choose to accept the policy as written, or we can deny it, or? how-
You can deny it, yeah. Now, some of them, you deny it, you're gonna be in violation of regulations, so, or statute, so, but some of them are not that. We've had some we have not adopted in the past. They were kind of like this fundraising thing. Maybe some districts may already have a policy that they like and works well for them, so they don't do it. We don't really have one necessarily. We've kind of just been allowing things to happen, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I think we all realize there's some times when people are always hitting us up for money, but I'm not sure that that is going to change that component. But, we'll get you the links to these, okay?
Thank you.
And we'll have it in time to look at it.
Yeah.
We'll try to get it to you before the holidays. Okay, I don't have anything more in KFC policies.
Superintendent's report.
Okay. All right, we're gonna start out looking at some facility items first. The first one is an action item, and that has to do with the dust collection system. At the wood shop, you were seeking more information on the estimates for electric. We actually have a real number. I think I gave you a kind of a ballpark a couple days ago. This is the real number. I think, Tim, you got that today, did you not?
I received it yesterday.
And then that item, that document is down below. I also have a, recommended motion.
Is that where you want me to read?
Yes, it's there. But first of all, any questions on that?
I appreciate the extra information.
Oh, it's a lot less than I thought it'd be.
So, but just for clarity's sake, if I remember correctly from Wednesday, if we approve to proceed,
Mhm.
then that includes that portion of the project for engineering or
Yes,
whatever.
yes, that'll include that 18,
Mhm.
387.
Okay,
Yeah, for
and
the
so
engineering.
we're gonna go
Yeah.
that far in,
Mhm.
You're over it.
So they will go out, now they'll get the
Just-
bids for the product itself and the installation. So, and they give you a projected total of $105,000. That's a total cost, all in. Now, you will have to add that, 1375 to that, or it might end up that it's in there, but it could end up being a tack on $1,375, just depends on how the bids come up. Again, what will happen is they'll come to you with bids at that point in time and anyway, we'll keep you posted that way. You'll hear from them again.
So the projected total is the total cost of the dust collection?
Yes,
minus the-
we may have to add the electrical, right,
Mhm.
the 1,375, it just depends on where those are going to fall. And
Right.
he's built in some contingency, you can see that.
But the dust collection also includes the HVAC equipment and install? as
Yes,
part of that.
that's the material.
That's, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
And remind me, these funds would come from,
capital outlay.
Darren, do you have any comments on this or thoughts?
Yes, I do.
Let's hear 'em.
You care to share?
Let's hear 'em.
Being as political as I can. This is a health issue. I'm in this stuff every day. My kids are in it every other day. And we have added a lot of equipment in recent years. The current system is very antiquated, very inefficient. We have done some stopgap measures to cut down on the particulates in the air. Doesn't eliminate it, it cuts it down some. An upgraded system would be greatly appreciated. It's long overdue, in my opinion. You are welcome to come in at any point in time during the afternoon that we have our classes and see what we deal with. Again, it's a lot of money, I know that, but we're also dealing with an 86-year-old building that has some great advantages and some disadvantages too. We have a lot of kids that pass through those classes, and I see that as an investment in our students. I appreciate your consideration in this project. Again, I'm wide open. Anytime you want to stop by, I'll show you what we have and what we are doing to try to abate as much airborne particulate as possible. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
In your opinion, need or want, one word.
It's a need
Okay.
for good health.
Any other-
Anyone else will be done this next summer or?
Tim, timeline?
Timeline,
Any idea of a timeline?
attack that this summer.
Yeah. I imagine the time.
This will guarantee that Mr. Arnold sticks around for another 10 or 20 years.
I'll give you 10.
We have that in writing, please.
So what do we actually approve then?
So we're approving the contract with Universal Construction to facilitate the project as presented, and I just want to say for myself that like my holdout originally was not knowing that cost that you got for us, Tim, because I was very nervous about saying yes to one figure and then it coming back because it is a 90-year-old building and it's double the cost. So I appreciate you going out and getting that information. I will personally motion to move with proceeding to have Universal Construction facilitate the project as presented for the dust collection.
Okay.
Moved in second to approve Universal Construction for this project. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passed 7-0.
All right, we have a few other items. Thank you for that, by the way. We have a few other items. Tim, latest on HVAC at elementary school, about any happenings going on there?
Yes, we do.
I'm sorry, our principal is smirking. I'm nervous.
We get continued issues. Got a lot of cold teachers, cold students right now. Have one of the units on the fourth grade side that has a compressor that has gone down again. Or not again, but another compressor. So I did have HVAC company out to look at that today, and they're working up a bid on replacing that, and we'll get that to me within the week.
Replacing the compressor?
Yes, yes, sir.
Is this the same unit that, or a different unit?
It's actually the same unit. There are two compressors per unit. It's the
Great.
other compressor.
Great.
How much was the last one? Do you remember?
13 roughly
Eight,
plus
maybe?
gas. So,
Oh, plus the, yeah.
which we have the gas on hand right now. When we worked on the other one, we didn't purchase enough. There's some on hand.
I know that, we have done a little bit more looking at just some other options. We're investigating those options right now and trying to figure out what the proper next steps are. I know I have visited with, a vendor this week, and they'll be out to take a look at some things again, and
I did have another vendor out this week also, toured the building, looked at the equipment and said he would get back with us.
But he's gonna get back to you.
Yeah, nothing yet on it.
Again, you know, we can keep fixing or replacing the compressors, so figure out what the best steps moving forward are. Gonna have to do it anyway. It's not like something magical is gonna happen and nothing's gonna break down between now and then, so. Okay. Generator, so the bids are out right now. Those bids will close on December 20th. They'll be open that afternoon. What's the time on that, Levi, do you recall?
10:00 a.m.
Oh, in the morning?
Yep.
Of the 20th, okay, so, eventually you will see those boards, you know, or see those bids and you will bid on that. Now, they come in on the 20th, we're approaching that holiday season. I don't figure the next week's probably very good. And you can look at that first full week of January, starting on the 6th, but by then you're really close to the next board meeting anyway, which is on the 13th. If you'd like to have a special meeting to approve it, to look at those bids and approve one, you can do that. Just let me know, we'll set that up. If you feel comfortable waiting till the 13th, we can just do it that way. Tim and I were talking, I don't know you're gonna see a really drastic difference on delivery because of that anyway. You're still looking at quite a while out to replace that. You wanna wait till the 13th on that and just do it, okay? That's kind of what I would say, but Tim, talk to us about snow removal planning.
Sure.
It's getting to be that time of season, as much as I wanted to deny it.
Yeah.
I always get all the stuff from the media places and the numbers to call, my codes to do these things, and the secret password, which by the way has never changed from year to year, but anyway, I've got those, but it's always like, oh, it's that time of year, and I dread it, but here we are.
Yes, earlier, I guess it would be last month now, I got with Grimm's, who we had approved with the contract for this year. Tyler and I drove through the district and we went through each building, talked about the best locations to push snow. Talked about, when and where and how they will contact me or vice versa. to make sure that that process is facilitated in a timely manner. We talked about making sure we do not push any snow up towards the building itself, but everything goes away from the building, so, excuse me. So I think we have a pretty good plan going forward. We'll be tested at that first snow, so, but I believe we're in a good good
No
spot.
No salt on new concrete.
Yes, we talked about that. That may be reiterated with some staff also.
Yes.
How did I have on that?
Yeah. All right, any questions for Tim? Thank you.
No, thank you.
Kylie, I know, I see Ms. Gates is back here, so, I'll let you speak to boys basketball and coaching needs.
Well, great news, we have 40-some kids out for basketball. So we had about 42 show up for 6 a.m. practice this morning. That is really great. I mean, we haven't had these numbers for years. So looking through the list, we had about 46 sign up. I, ran through the list multiple times, considering different situations, and I think there'll be a solid 38 to 40 that stay out for it. That is going to require a need for another coach. So I'm requesting fourth coach if we can get it.
In mind by chance?
We have posted it and we have, we will be setting up interviews, but we wanted to wait to make sure that you guys were in support of that before we sat down with individuals.
You have 3 already hired.
We do with that one. Yeah.
Well,
The approval tonight is the third.
Is the third one, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, good. Thank you.
All right, some learning related topics here. In your doc, you have or in your, Word docs, you have Northeast Kansas Consortium. Remember, we visited about the Perkins Consortium. So I did attend, Lloyd and I actually attended a meeting over in Frankfurt. Been to Frankfurt before. Nice little grocery store, but never been to that town to speak of. So had that meeting. Didn't really feel like it was the best approach for us. It was pretty costly. And it really provided things that we weren't really looking for anyway. And it's far away too. So I believe our best bet is to accept a membership into this Northeast Kansas Consortium. These are districts located. I would say we are probably the furthest west district. So you can kind of look through that. But again, this is just so that we are eligible to obtain Perkins funding. That's really all we need from it at this point in time. We need to belong to a group big enough so that we have enough money to where we're eligible for those. Really won't change how we do business. Really, I wouldn't anticipate teachers or CTE teachers experiencing anything different. We'll still headquarter their wishes from this district, but instead of going to Greenbush and being done there, it'll be done through this consortium. Okay, so, I have already verbally agreed with them that's how we'll do it. But if you're good with that, I will seek your permission to go ahead and sign for that.
It was like, Riverside
Yeah.
is gonna be in.
Yeah, Riverside will be the will be the fiscal agent. As far as the actual MOU, we just stole that from other existing consortiums and made it fit those. Okay. Back to our topics here, December and January dates ahead. Hey, it's getting up on it soon. The 20th, 12:30 dismissal, and during that week, high school finals will be going on. I think that Friday is, again, 12:30 dismissal. I believe that's some makeup finals for some kids who may have missed at that point in time, but everybody's leaving at 12:30 on that day in the schools. They will be back on our teachers have a work day on Friday, the 3rd. That is a flex day, so generally some teachers come in and ahead of time get ready for the semester. Some of them will come in that day and get ready for the semester. Some of them will do that from home. That's how it's been since before I got here. And see a reason to change it. Bottom line is they have to get ready for it. Either way, it really doesn't matter to me if they do it at midnight, during their vacation, during the break, or whether they do it that day. We're ready. On the 6th is Monday, and that's when we all come back. All our kids are back that day, start that second semester. Okay. Yeah, so we had a early release the other day. I think I reported to you that I worked with, so the administrative team was split up and I know Kylie and worked with her ELA folks and Lori worked with high school ELA. And I think Danielle worked with the elementary ELA, correct, Danielle?
Yes.
And ELA is kind of further down the road, they're further down the road on curriculum alignment, and we should be at this point in time, we've invested a fair amount of resources and time into that. The others were at a little bit different spot, more of a beginning spot, trying to come up with, one working document to begin working on, so that's what we did. I had, visual arts, which is really a strength of mine. It's really not. Music, and I had, let's see, PE and science. So I worked with those groups running around and just kind of getting everybody on the same page, and all of those disciplines operate a little bit differently as far as whether they operate from competencies or whether they operate from standards. So I think it was time well used. Everything I saw, there's a lot of product that came out of that, and will push us towards having a clearly defined and articulate curriculum. All right, calendar work, that's coming up too. So I sent out an email already about, and I have an appointment with our calendar committee Thursday after school. And we'll start working on the calendar for next year. I'll give you a few previews. Next year's calendar is just weird because of the way things line up in the fall. You're either gonna start school early or start school later. And if you're not careful, you're probably won't start school later, you're gonna end up going after Memorial Day, which is like, I believe, mortal sin. As I've heard it described before. It's something that would not make people very fond of that calendar. We have a lot of things to consider. One, we need to have more professional development days next year as far as aligning curriculum and also working on literacy requirements. That's something that we have to provide letters training for our teachers. They have to get that seal of literacy. If they teach, Lori, help me out, what, high school ELA, middle school ELA, and any of the elementary folks, pretty much, right?
Elementary sped included,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
elementary administration, school psychologists.
I'll get that one necessarily, the school psychologist one, but baffles me a little bit, but anyway, that training has to happen. I think you have to have it by 2028, and it's long. It'll take really a couple of years to get it done. So we're looking at trying to do that in district by having a couple of our folks be trainers and, help them to get that training, do that here, so we can do that on our time during PD days and not have to have people out of the building all the time and trying to get subs, which is nearly impossible right now. So we're trying to go about it that way, knowing that we're going to really have no PD days next year. And we probably need to not have any snow days next year, just to be safe, but that's going to be my plan. So no snow days. I'll recall too, or actually think back to a couple of months ago, Kate Miller came and visited with you about special day next school year. I've got that documented. I don't recall what those days were, but I've got to account for, I think, one day there too. So we have a lot of things to account for and get done in a probably condensed calendar. So it'll be interesting to see what teachers can help us come up with, and then we'll bring it to you. We probably will not have that work done until sometime in January. I didn't anticipate asking for your approval for the calendar and publishing it in better.
Can we look, cause I know like we are one of the districts that we go longer than several of the area districts.
That's what our contract says.
I mean, is there a way to shorten that? Well, I mean, and like, I know a lot of them start earlier than we don't have like 8:15. Can we start earlier so that it adds more?
That is a possibility. You can certainly do that. There's push-pull if anything like that. I think that's something we need to look at and really talk at length on and figure out what the benefits are and what are the unforeseen consequences. But yeah, if you add time, I mean, there's schools that get in a bind towards the end of the year. They're not going to have enough hours. So what they adjust their schedule and they bring kids in, 15 minutes early, dismiss them 15 minutes later type of deal. And they manage, because we operate on hours, not on the school days, but we operate on hours. So that is something to look at.
How much cushion do you build into the calendar for
like
Well-
those hours.
It kind of depends on the year of the calendar and how it falls. Most of it is trying to use the parameters of starting in, mid-August and ending before Memorial Day. Those dates will line up a little bit different each year. And the holidays that come with it. So it's a little bit different, but case in point, last year, I think we had 6 snow days. And we were still fine. We were close, we were counting.
Yeah.
And hoping for no more, but we were still. Yeah, so there's cushion built in, and there should be. Again, if we had no snow days, that would be helpful.
So on the topic of condensing and snow days, do you bring in outside personnel, like for the personal development? The reason I
For
asked, like,
professional development,
right, yeah,
sometimes.
okay, so,
We do for HIPS, for the HIPS training, whereas a presenter comes, I think it comes out of Lawrence, I don't know, Kansas City area, somewhere like that, but not far away.
if it would be possible, instead of a snow day just being a nothing day, could you then audible and then make that into a professional development day?
Usually those are set up ahead of time in the operating schedule and they present various places, so it really probably wouldn't work. I've thought about, and there have been some places that have done that if they had some work they were working on. Again, I'll ask you a question though, if it's so bad that we can't have kids on the road and buses on the road, should we have our staff on the road?
Sure, but with technology nowadays, I didn't know if you could zoom in or.
There might be some situation like that, I can't think of one off the top of my head that, probably, but it's possible. But I'm just looking at the big boulders we need to move in the next couple of years, PD wise, that wouldn't fit that. Curriculum work wise, it possibly could. It possibly could, depending on how far down the road we get. It's a thought. I don't know, letters training, I don't know how that would work, probably not. I can't see how that would work, but
It's better to be in person.
no snow days. I'm gonna do my best, so, sorry, Tim. Get those shovels going. Jim's not here to argue. Jim is actually one who will push on for. He's the one who gets, or transportation facilitator. He's the one who gets most worried about it. So, and rightfully so. But I think we make pretty good decisions overall. Anytime that happens, we're gonna err on the side of caution. And I'd say it's been few and far between when we've had a day where we have like, what we call off school for it. It's not very often. There's been maybe one day in 7 years where I wish like heck we would have called off school, but the cow was already out of the barn at that point in time. The buses were rolling and then came the weather. So, all right. And that's all I have.
And special ed reports. It was a 5-minute meeting.
Okay, seven,
Sorry.
and then, thank you guys.
So there was nothing, it was just to pay bills. And the next meeting is the Tuesday, the 7th.
Yeah, I saw a note that because the first day was actually like January 1 or something.
Yes,
Well,
well, ours was scheduled for the 8th, but Horton, their regular ed
meetings
on the 8th, so we're doing it on the 7th.
Well, reading the minutes, so I was gone for work, so I wasn't reading the minutes. I thought the most notable thing was that you two decided to re-up.
Yes.
It's interesting enough to the rest of the board. You're all off the hook for another year, right?
But I will no longer have to be an officer, so come January, Shelby Rice will take over as president, and one of you has to be vice.
Okay, and we'll decide that at the January meeting.
So if you don't show up,
Yeah.
you're it.
Unless I'm gone for work, I'll be there, but yeah. Or I come the wrong day.
Okay. Executive session.
I'd like to move for an executive session for 10 minutes without Lonnie in the room.
Second. Move in second, to go into executive session for 10 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, motion passed, 7-0.
We'd like to do information and stuff.
Sure. Business lead.
I think you can.
Okay. Any action upon executive session?
No, for the next executive session, what was the recommended timeline? 10, okay, so can we add another 5 to that? I move, we go back into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel for 15 minutes.
Moved in second, we'll executive session for 15 minutes, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Good time. Okay.
Any action following executive session?
Yes, I move that we hire Tom Nolte for the HMS assistant basketball coach.
Moved and seconded to hire Tom Nolte as HMS board basketball coach.
Yeah, nothing.
Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passed 7-0.
I remember off the top of my
But
head.
no, that's good. That's great.
Was that it?
On that one, I think so.
Yeah.
But we have another.
Yeah, there's a,
Let's go 10.
motion for executive session for 10 minutes.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, to go into executive session for 10 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passed 7-0.
It's just for student matters. Yeah.
Lori, yeah, maybe.
My good.
Going to eggs for breakfast. That was our family tradition. Yeah. Growing an egg? Yeah, when we got the first year during the season, we would, because we butchered at home. We would cut the loin out and bring it in, and my grandma would slice it up and fry it up with eggs, and we'd have fresh loin and eggs.
Great, any action following executive session?
Yes,
What is that?
the board moves to approve the request
For graduation.
as presented for a student. Is that good enough?
For graduation.
For graduation. Lori, are you good with that?
Second.
Move in second to approve graduation.
Request.
Request
As presented.
as presented, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, motion passed 7-0.
So we need to communicate that tomorrow. So we need to get that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I move we adjourn.
You guys. Thank you. Move in second to adjourn, all in
Aye.
favor, say aye.
That was great.
We did better than I thought we were gonna do. That wasn't too
Thanks,
bad.
guys.
Thank you.
Where'd you name that game last